In conflict, it's easy to assume the worst, that someone meant to hurt, ignore, or disrespect you. But what if you paused and chose a more generous interpretation instead? In this video, we're exploring how practicing generous interpretation can de-escalate tension, improve communication, and help you respond with clarity and compassion, even in emotionally charged moments. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the bell for more grounded tools to help you grow in self-awareness, empathy, and emotional strength. Let's reframe how we handle conflict, starting right now. 1. Understanding generous interpretation. Generous interpretation means assuming the best possible intent behind another person's words or actions, especially during conflict. It doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it invites empathy before judgment. In high-stress situations, people often communicate poorly. Instead of reacting defensively, try asking, "What else could this mean?" Perhaps they were overwhelmed, misinformed, or triggered by their own fears. When we interpret actions generously, we create space for dialogue rather than escalation. This doesn't mean ignoring red flags or avoiding accountability. Rather, it's about approaching tension with curiosity instead of condemnation. It leads to more productive, compassionate conversations and protects our emotional energy. 2. Curiosity before conclusion. When we assume negative intent in conflict, we usually react with anger or defensiveness. But by pausing and approaching the situation with curiosity, we can avoid unnecessary emotional damage. Instead of concluding that someone is selfish, careless, or mean, ask yourself, what might be going on with them? Maybe they're going through something difficult or misinterpreted your tone. Curiosity allows you to gather more information before reacting and often reveals underlying causes that shift your perspective. This shift isn't about excusing bad behavior. It's about gaining clarity and responding thoughtfully. Train yourself to say internally, "I wonder what they're really trying to say," or "There might be more to this story." 3. Recognize your own emotional filters. In conflict, your emotional state acts like a filter that colors how you interpret others' behavior. If you're tired, anxious, or angry, you may be more likely to see neutral actions as hostile. Practicing generous interpretation requires acknowledging your own lens. Are you projecting your fears, past experiences, or current stress onto this moment? Being aware of this tendency helps you pause and reevaluate. For example, if someone responds curtly, your filter might say they're mad at me, but a generous mindset asks, could they just be distracted or overwhelmed? When you recognize that your interpretation may not reflect objective reality, it becomes easier to disengage from unnecessary conflict. 4. Pause before you react. A pause is one of the most powerful tools in any conflict. It gives your brain space to switch from reaction to response. In moments of stress, our nervous systems enter fight or flight mode, leading to impulsive, defensive behaviors. But if you can take even a 5-second breath before speaking or responding to a message, you regain emotional control. In that pause, ask, "Is this a misunderstanding? What else could this mean?" This shift enables generous interpretation. You might realize the person's tone sounded off not because of hostility, but because they were distracted or having a bad day. Pausing helps you detach from automatic judgments and gives you a chance to ground yourself in empathy. 5. Practice reflective listening. Reflective listening is the practice of repeating back what you've heard in your own words to ensure understanding. It slows down heated exchanges and allows both parties to feel heard. For example, so you're saying you felt ignored when I didn't respond right away. Did I get that right? This simple gesture communicates that you care enough to understand their perspective, even if you disagree. When you listen reflectively, you often uncover that the issue isn't what you thought. This opens the door for generous interpretation because you're actively seeking the meaning behind the message rather than reacting to the surface-level expression. 6. Consider their backstory. Everyone has invisible battles, emotional scars, and unspoken fears that shape how they communicate, especially in conflict. A defensive tone might be rooted in childhood trauma. A lack of response might be from anxiety, not avoidance. Generous interpretation invites us to consider the unseen story that might be influencing someone's behavior. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful actions, but it softens our judgment. When you remind yourself that pain often hides behind anger or withdrawal, compassion becomes easier. Ask yourself, if I knew their full story, would I be reacting the same way? You might not know the details, but the mindset of assuming a deeper struggle fosters grace. 7. Separate impact from intent. One of the biggest causes of conflict is confusing how someone made us feel, impact, with what they meant to do, intent. Just because someone hurt you doesn't necessarily mean they meant to. For example, a friend might cancel plans and leave you feeling rejected, but their intent might have been self-care. Generous interpretation involves acknowledging your hurt feelings while still being open to their side. You can say, I felt dismissed when you didn't show up, but I want to understand what was going on for you. This invites a dialogue rather than an accusation. 8. Resist the urge to score points. In conflict, it's tempting to prove you're right, make a clever comeback, or highlight the other person's flaws. But generous interpretation means resisting the urge to win and focusing on understanding. Scoring points might feel satisfying in the moment, but it often deepens the divide. Instead, ask yourself, do I want to win this argument or preserve this relationship? When your goal is connection over victory, you listen differently, speak with more care, and allow space for repair. You begin to see the other person as a partner in resolving tension, not an opponent. 9. Validate feelings without agreeing. Validating someone's feelings doesn't mean you're admitting fault or agreeing with their view. It means you're acknowledging their experience as real and worthy of respect. In conflict, people want to feel understood before they're willing to hear feedback or compromise. Saying, I can see this was really upsetting for you, or it makes sense that you felt hurt, creates space for generosity and lowers defenses. It helps the other person feel seen without forcing you to abandon your own truth. 10. Make generosity a default setting. Generous interpretation isn't just a technique. It's a mindset you can cultivate daily. Make it your default lens, especially in high-stakes or emotionally charged moments. This doesn't mean letting others walk over you or excusing all behaviors. It means leading with empathy, seeking understanding, and pausing before assuming the worst. Over time, this mental habit rewires your emotional responses, helping you stay calm, compassionate, and wise in difficult conversations. Take a deep breath, soften your assumptions, and remember, choosing to see the best in others doesn't make you naive. It makes you wise, grounded, and emotionally strong. If this helped you reframe how you approach tense situations, give it a thumbs up and share one insight or practice you're taking with you in the comments. And if you're here for more tools to build better relationships, inner calm, and everyday growth, don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss what's next. Catch you in the next one.